Hey there. Well, anytime now. Well, guys, welcome to the night. All right, let me just check Frost Frank. Ready? Okay. Just gotta see if everything's working here as planned first, folks, because this is my first live panel, and I'm waiting to, and ready for, I'm ready for my friends to be ready now because it's already time. 6:15 and streaming. Today we are going to discuss John Wick, the various projects that are being John Wick projects that are being developed over at Lionsgate. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. All right, guys. Let's bring our friends aboard. Hello, Frostbite. How are you doing tonight?
All right.
Ah, nice to have you here. Welcome.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live now.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm also getting things ready before we start going over tonight's topic, which is the John Wick projects that are being developed at Lionsgate. Yeah, and you said you saw the first one. You said you only saw the first one, correct?
yeah, I saw it on. Not too long ago.
Ah, yeah. I started getting into the movies since last year when Tyrone Magnus did his reaction to one of the trailers to the fourth one.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things about the uh the how the John Wick movies have progressed. Some people have liked how they've been going. Others feel that they've gotten more and more over the top. Um, I mean, I remember the first one came out and it was like a very low. I think I was in college when it came out, and it was kind of like one of those low, like budget, like Keanu Reeves trying to do something else. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. And I did watch that one first before watching the rest, all the way up to the fourth movie in theaters with my cousin and his friends last year. Man, these movies are so awesome, Frost Frank. It really lifted my spirit up after putting up with so much boom that's been going on since the end of 2022. I mean, Keanu Reeves is amazing. He really knows how to mop the floor with a lot of bad guys and plenty of action films. And this franchise that he did, let's see, I'm also inviting other guests. I'm expecting our friends from. I got another guest to bring on. Hi, are you there? Geek Defense Initiative. Can you read me? Uh, I think he. I think he's. Hang on. I gotta check. Hang on. Let me get. I gotta get him. Yeah. Yeah. I need to get him ready. Are you there now? For Geek Defense Initiative. Can't seem to respond. He must be taking time with something right now. Anyway, I'm sure he's gonna take time before he gets ready for us, Frank. So he's probably busy with something right now. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I believe there was a TV show spinoff. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, there is a spinoff, and it's said to be a sequel to Chapter 4.
And now there's one called, I believe, Ballerina with Ana de Armas. Supposed to come out soon.
Yeah, next year. that it got pushed to next year. It was supposed to come out this summer, but now it got pushed up to next year because they said they needed to make some corrections on some of the movie scenes.
Mm. I mean, when you're filming a movie heavy on action sequences,
Yeah. Are you there, Geek Defense Initiative? You must still be busy. Yeah.
Testing.
Anyway, is that you?
Yep, I think it is. Yes, it's working.
Great. It's great to know that
Wonderful.
this. Yeah, it's great to know that the StreamYard links do work. I was worried that they
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah. I was with my mic unplugged, so I had to look for it.
That's
So,
great. Yeah.
all right.
Go on.
Finish
on.
up the subject. I will add my part later.
Oh, sure. Anyway, today I thought we could go over some of the projects that have been developed at Lionsgate that are spin-offs to John Wick, the 4 films, since 2014, 10, which started 10 years ago.
10 years ago this October, I believe.
Yeah, the 24th.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, I'm about to get this link set up to show you the various spin-offs that are on. And I hope you don't mind, Frostfang, because I'm gonna because it's where I gotta present. Well, it's one of the only few places I know that presents us with the list of known spin-offs they got in development so far.
That's fine.
Okay.
Which you're talking about? Which
John
one?
Wick.
No,
This-
no. Which website? Because you
Oh.
said that.
Screen Rant.
Oh,
Yeah. Wasn't
Yeah.
sure if Frostfang was okay with it, but
no.
Anyway.
I think when a journalist is not talking, can I swear?
Yeah.
I can't swear.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
When a journalist is not too busy with talking shit up their asses, sometimes they can have some good idea or two.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're not too busy getting upset about Black Myth Wukong's,
Yeah.
non-real
Or-
issue, but
or coming up with a puff piece for Disney or smear campaigning Zach's name again.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
I think we can all celebrate today that Acolyte's been canceled.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that. That's great. But
Yeah.
let's move to John Wick. Let we do
Yeah.
a tangent later to talk about the Acolyte.
Yeah, let's move on. Let me get the thing ready up. And here we are. You see let me see. Let me see.
Why would they make a chapter 4 considering the end? But
You mean a chapter 5?
yeah, chapter 5.
I don't know, but recent reports earlier today stated that it was canceled.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't get why make a chapter 5 again, because can I spoil the end of chapter 4 even though Frostfang didn't see it?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna forget about that.
All right, John Wick dies in chapter 4, so I don't know how they could bring him back.
Yeah, but not without giving us a real good show of one hell of a fight in that movie.
Yeah, he does. Which is another thing. Like, if you think about it, the John Wick setting, like in the end, Wick dies, right? But he dies like a martyr against the table, right? He proves that the table is not above the rules they created. So
Yeah. Yep.
Wait, they're doing a John Wick and Nobody crossover?
that sounds interesting, actually. Maybe nobody John. I don't know how that would work, but maybe the organization from Nobody is like the opposite, the rival for the round table. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't know either.
nobody felt like a smaller type movie than John Wick. But then again, if you go back to the first John Wick movie, that's what it felt like too.
Yeah. What I think about Nobody is that I don't see the settings matching up,
Yeah, I don't see it matching up either. Geek Defense Initiative, and I'm sure Frost
But
Frank
but
knows
but
that
they
too.
could think of something. It's just that in Nobody, it seems like the world of crime is more mundane. It's just that the agents. Well, John Wick's more mythological. There's always this like myth stuff in John Wick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know how the nobody thing could even match up with John Wick or be in the same universe as him.
No, I think it could make it work. It's just gonna make the first movie kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I mean, John Wick, the whole thing about it was the intrigue of what's the Continental, why is he called Baba Yaga, why is
No,
he?
no, I think the intrigue is not exactly that because, like, we know why he's called a Baba Yaga because, like, he's the guy who's gonna kill the boogeyman,
yeah,
and Baba Yaga is actually the Russian equivalent, which is an old lady that kills children that misbehave.
yeah,
No, oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that with the first John Wick film, it did have that sense of mystery of
Yes,
what's the
but
bigger picture.
I agree, and the other movies don't exactly lose it. As we never see the high table, for example. We never see who are the members of the high table. We just see some people affiliated with them, but we never see the people who make up the round table. The cartel and Irish. We don't even know all the 12 members. Actually, we know what, 7.
yeah, yep,
Can you
yeah,
imply some more?
yeah. I think there's about up to 7 or 12 members, I believe,
There are
from what I
12 members, but you only know a limited number of organizations that belong it. Because, like,
yeah,
in the high table, they are like the main criminal empires at a specific point in time. More like an idea than a than
yeah,
that much of an organization. Because, like, implicitly, is like uh, we clearly can. They said, I think that there's the Russian mafia, the Yakuza,
yeah.
the the triads, and one other. Let me
Yeah.
let me look it up quick. In the Gamora, which
You
is
mean the
the
Corella? You're talking about the Corella, the Italian mafia.
yes, which no is the continental Italian mafia. The Italian mafia, because there are two Italian mafias. The one we know mostly is the Sicilian mafia. The
Hmm.
Italian mafia is the Camorra. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
I just wanted to say very briefly, even though he died about a year ago, rest in peace, Lance Reddick, who was the
Oh, he was
um,
amazing.
oh yeah,
operator at the Continental.
Oh,
oh
he was such an
yeah.
amazing actor.
Thank you for bringing that up, Frostfang. I mean, he died a week before the movie came out on the 24th last year, and that kind
Mm.
of felt like it didn't seem a little appropriate for a send off.
Well, I mean, there's only so much you can really do. I mean,
Hmm.
you can
Yeah.
only. I think. I mean, it's
I
not
think
like
his death was quite sudden, actually.
Yeah,
it's. I'll put it this way: it's not like the same level of. How do I word this? It's not like how the situation was with Suicide Squad when Kevin Conroy died, and they just
oh,
decided let's just shoehorn in something at the very end to.
yeah,
Yeah. That's it
yeah.
as well. Yeah,
Oh,
I actually, speaking of him, he was meant to be in Alan Wake 2. Do you guys know that?
what?
He was.
He
Wow.
was he was supposed to be he was playing Mr. Hatch, Mr. Door, which is because he in Quantum Break he plays Mr. Hatch. And
Oh,
then since Mr. Door is kind of like the copyright friendly version of Mr. Hatch because Mr. Hatch is owned by Microsoft, they would
oh,
cast the same actor,
wow,
but they had to recast when he
wow,
died. Even then,
wow.
the game is even dedicated to him. And in fact, speaking of which, rest in peace, James McCaffrey as well. Lost so many greats last year.
James
James
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey, Max Payne.
Oh,
He plays Max Payne and Alex Casey in the Remedy game, the Remedy verse.
wow. Oh, yeah.
The High Table members, I found the one I mentioned, actually.
Huh.
Speaking of which, that was kind of abrupt, but the
Yeah.
Camorra, the
Yeah.
Mafia, which is the Sicilians, the Nindangheta, I don't know those ones.
Oh, you mean, yeah, they were the villains in the second John Wick movie.
The Camorra or the Nandrangheta?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, the Camorra, I believe.
The Camorra,
You know,
I don't know who the Nandrangheta are though.
neither
Chinese,
do I.
Russians. There's
Oh,
also hints that the Yakuza and the cartels, the Mexican cartels, have members, have seats. And chapter 2 had the Irish mob.
oh yeah. Yeah, of course. The Irish mob.
And in the original draft, but they removed it, so we don't know its canonicity.
Yeah.
I don't really know if the Irish mob exists as much anymore, but
Oh, I think they removed it because of that. They probably lost their power or a remnant.
Yeah,
Because I
something
don't
like
think the
that.
Irish mob is as powerful now as it was like in the 70s, which was their
Nope.
height.
Yeah.
they've kind of
Russian
more.
mob.
I
Now
think
they're more in Boston or something like that.
I think
Yeah.
they've kind of morphed back into the Irish like separatist.
No,
type-
no,
Oh,
because the Irish separatists already surrendered as well. They surrendered to the British some time ago.
right.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm not going away, but I'll be right back just a second. But
All
you
right.
guys continue talking.
Sure, Frostfang. Okay. Anyway, the Gamora were the villains in the second John Wick film, Dennis.
Yeah,
they're leader-
I know.
Yeah,
Those, I don't know the N, the one with the N, and the N or.
Yeah,
I don't look it up what these guys are. The middle one.
their leader was named
I
Santoni.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh. The Calabrian mob they're talking. It's another
Yeah.
Italian faction. No, you are talking about the Camorra, which is the
Yeah.
one in John Wick 2, and they are from Naples, which is, fun fact, is the same part of Italy that Al Capone comes from.
Yeah, these guys
But
are.
the Capone wasn't a member because his parents were members, and he actually was a member of another organization known as the Outfit.
That's something new to learn every day.
Yeah, which are like the Chicago Mafia.
Okay, bringing Frostfang back now.
Hello.
Welcome back. Guys, ready?
Hello.
Guys, ready? Yeah. All right. Here we have a list of the projects that are being planned over at Lionsgate right now. Title and concept and their statuses. Chapter 5, which was already been canceled. And down below we got Ballerina, which is currently in development as we speak. And below we've got the Sophia spinoff, which is still rumored. Yeah.
Is that a character I don't know about?
Oh, she's from the third movie, Frostfang. She was Halle Berry played her, and it was.
I remember.
Yeah.
Sophia.
Yep,
Yeah,
she's
was
got the
kind of-
dogs. Yeah.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. She was
Yeah.
the Casablanca Continental, right?
The Moroccan Continental. Yeah.
Yeah, the Casablanca Continental. Yeah.
Yeah, and John Wick had a blood deal with her or something. You know, the marker. You know that he presented to her.
Yep.
Yeah. She was quite amazing too. The way she handled all those stunts along with Keanu on set.
I mean, she was Catwoman, so it's not like it's unfamiliar with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Next,
I would like to forget that Catwoman of hers.
Yeah, I hear you. Next, we have the John Wick TV show, which is set to be under the high table.
So they have one that's centered around the Continental, and now there's one going to be centered around the High Table.
Oh,
Very much. Yeah.
I dare to say I don't like that idea of the high table, because like the high table I think should remain a mystery for as long as possible. Like I don't want to see the high table because they're such an enigma in the original, you know.
Yeah. It's always good to be keeping things like them a mystery on their identities.
Mhm.
I don't have my glasses on, but as I was moving up and down, I seriously thought John Wick and Nobody crossover said John Wick and Scooby Doo crossover.
What?
No,
What?
like seriously, for a second, like I'm not wearing my glasses, so I looked at it for a second. And it almost looked like Scooby Doo, and I was like, "Wait, that's not right." Like,
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I don't see how they could actually make it happen after chapter 4 with the crossovers and stuff.
No, I think it's gonna be nobody in the John Wick setting, maybe.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
could be.
you know what they should do? John Wick
Yeah.
period pieces, kind of like the Continental did, but more like into other times of history, you know, like the
Hmm.
30s or the 20s, you know, the Prohibition era. And
Yeah,
even further, like think about it. Like in John Wick, in the Continental, I think they mentioned that the high table has existed in some form or another since since before the Roman Empire. So
yeah.
how
Kind of like the
like
Illuminati that we're talking.
medieval time, yeah, but for criminals, exactly. Medieval
Yep.
times, like
sort of.
Renaissance, like go creative with it.
So you're kind of sound. It sounds a little bit like Assassin's Creed, like the whole
Templar,
Templar versus
yeah,
Assassins type thing. Except
Yeah,
no
not really
convolute.
because. Sorry, continue.
yeah.
Oh no, just no convoluted. Gods and the apple and
Oh, yeah.
such.
I know what
Yeah.
you mean.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
those guys
but
are.
I think that John Wick kind of like in the lore when you think about it is I would say more closer to Vampire the Masquerade in the sense that the high table is like the Camarilla and there might be rivaling factions, but still.
Yeah,
And the high table doesn't have any rivals we know about for a while.
yeah. Pretty much. Yeah,
Maybe they have some kind of government and corporate version, like the legitimate world has its own high table of sorts. The
yeah,
sort of has a truce with the high table and fights indirectly. Like
yeah,
actually, that's a good comparison. That idea could be interesting and make like kind of like how in John in the Assassin's Creed, the assassins and the Templars, they both like fight each other, right? They're just two conspiracies that fight. There could the assassins are directly a conspiracy made to fight the conspiracy of the Templars,
mhm,
and
yeah,
like they could have a conspiracy that fights the high table, but then I think that would make it too complicated because like John Wick is much more murkier. They have to have a good guy faction,
mhm,
I think.
I mean, I could see it as this, like how I've been watching the Yellowstone
huh,
TV series, and I started watching the prequel series 1923 and 1883, and I think they
I need to
could.
watch those.
I think they could do something like that, where I mean, the concept of Yellowstone is this family that's running the family for several generations, and
Yeah,
their land is basically always being encroached upon,
huh,
either like
by
rival
rivals.
people, yeah, or the bank or whatever. They could do something like that where it's always like this ongoing thing that's going on, and
I
you don't
don't
have,
know.
yeah.
I'm gonna go for a better comparison, in my opinion. Right?
Okay.
okay.
Uh, if you see, if you ever played, anyone here is familiar with the lore of Vampire the Masquerade? I never played it, but I know the lore.
I don't know
I've
that
The
one.
heard of it.
vampire RPG. So the idea is that there currently in the current moment in the lore, there is the Camarilla and the Anarchs, which are the
Huh,
two main vampire good guys, quote unquote
yeah,
faction. Like There is the Camarilla, which is much orderly, very mob-like, and then there's the Anarchs, which is like the lesser gangs, in criminals. Like they are
Yeah.
the fact in there's both part organizations hate each other. They have a conflict, but they mostly have a truce. Like, oh, we don't like each other, we fight each other, but we both don't want the humans fighting out and in finding out that we exist.
Yeah.
While the Sabbath is more like a cult.
Yeah. Quite a cult indeed, right there.
And then there is the after all of that. In current lore, there is something called let me remember. The current lore of vampire. There is the Second Inquisition, which is like the humans.
Yeah.
And there are alliance between the Vatican and the intelligence community to
Oh.
take down the vampires.
Nice comparison there, Dennis.
No, and then John Wick, they could give a Second Inquisition equivalent. So
Oh.
like
Okay.
a organization made by the governments, corporations, and other organizations to take out the high table and cripple organized crime, right? Right.
Yeah. I hear you
And
there.
then they could have like the high table being so powerful for so long that when it comes a rivalry, they kind of don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting idea, but I don't think they're gonna do that. But that could be
Yeah.
interesting.
Would be interesting to see how they would act in response to the death of the Marquis from the fourth film.
No, that's another story.
Oh,
But yeah, I
sorry.
think that's another thing. But I think that the idea of the high table gaining a rival would be interesting for one of these movies. Another faction that comes against it.
Yeah.
But that's another story. Like they can rival it. But
Okay.
another thing.
Well,
Sorry.
I know this
Continue.
is your show,
Okay.
but I just wanted to ask, because John Wick came out of nowhere, but do you think John Wick is kind of like the rise back of mid-budget movies where you kind of have like this interesting concept, but you don't make it for a hell of a lot of money and it
Oh,
just kind of like,
I think.
takes off?
yeah. Could be.
I think John Wick is already a groundbreaking the action genre, but I do
Oh,
think
yeah.
that it's gonna be a comeback for mid budget, like for those
Yeah.
more artsy action movies in this thing. I think that's some of the preference making. You know?
Because if you
Yeah.
look this past weekend, we just had Alien Romulus, and I know that's a long running story,
Yeah.
but that movie was only made for $80 million, and when you compare it to
Just wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
both
go
Rebel
on.
Moon movies were made for what? 90 million? Both movies
Yeah.
together, and they're like four of them, four versions
um,
of the. There are
well,
two Rebel Moon
Yeah.
movies, and there are two versions of each, so that's four movies.
Yeah.
well,
And
technically,
like that's an 80 million, 180 million, 180 million.
technically, when you make a director's cut, it doesn't technically have to cost that much because they shoot
No, I
it
know,
all at once.
I
Um,
know.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
But like
but
but it's double. The success is relatively high of the for director's cut. So there's that.
it
Yeah. That
cost
too.
166 million for part one and part two,
Oh,
plus the two director's
that's
cuts.
that's
Wow.
80 million each. So that's impressive.
Yeah. Very good math, Bros Frank. Yeah. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So like,
Let's
is this what you're talking about? Like,
now let's start with Ballerina, the female-led John Wick spinoff that's releasing next year in June 2025.
in six.
Yeah. Since John Wick died in the forekill, those spin-offs are crucial to the continuation of the series. Also in 2017, reports of a female-fronted spin-off, Ballerina, emerged. It began as a spec script, which Lionsgate then purchased. The project went quietly until Chapter 3 was introduced Angelica Houston as the director, head of the Ruska Roma crime syndicate that adopted John Wick as a child. Houston's character trains her young orphans in the diverse arts of ballet and assassination, and Ballerina's protagonist is one of her group. And here's the
Mm-hmm.
cast list for the film. And here's our lead, Anna de Armas, who plays Rooney. You know who
She
she is, right?
was. I heard of her. I think she was in some big movies, but I don't remember. I know
Um,
she was in an Affleck movie recently.
she was
Not
in
much else.
Blade Runner 2049. She
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
was
yeah,
in Knives
yeah,
Out, the first one. She was in the most recent James Bond movie, although it was like a
yep.
15. She was only in there for 15 minutes.
Oh
yeah.
Um, I'm
And she was
trying to remember.
in with. She was also with Chris Evans in the Ghost remake movie. You know, with
which one?
Chris Evans.
Oh,
It's
you
No, I
called
mean
don't.
you mean Ghosted? Ghosted, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
That's the
that one.
movie. Yeah. She also worked
Um,
with Evans before with the Russos in a movie that co-starring Ryan Gosling. Yeah, that's what I can remember.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That one.
I
I
think
remember. I forgot the name.
I think
Raymond.
she's I think she's talented. But she really hasn't had like a lot of movies to really show her talent. I mean,
Yeah.
what the one of the funny things is she's the most quiet on social media. Like, I think she once stated that I have an Instagram to promote like all my stuff. I think all of her like associations with like products and stuff like that. But if I didn't have to, I would delete my entire social media.
Oh,
Yeah, she must be very weary of what goes on social media as well as
the
us.
social media
Well,
is
she's from
upset.
Cuba also, so I
Yeah, I
think
Yeah,
know.
there's that.
Yeah, she is from Cuba, but she also went to.
Social media is like this pet of humanity. Then, so I don't know. Not surprised.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how she would do as Rooney as a ballerina and assassin. And
wait,
the
Lance
Yeah,
Reddick is in the movie. How is he in it? Did they
he
film it
already
for
Lance
him?
Reddick.
shot. They already shot his scenes before he
Yeah,
died.
just
Okay.
kind of like Heath Ledger back before he died. He got all of his Joker scenes shot, as well as a movie he appeared in right that came out after his death.
Hmm.
You
Uh,
know, it had Andrew Garfield in it too.
Which
okay.
one? I don't know
Well,
which one.
I think it was somewhere. It was after his death that it was before he died that Ledger filmed his scenes as the character in that specific movie that served as his
No, but
last
which
appearance.
name?
Oh well, I better check that up and I better pray
No,
right.
no, no, no need to. No need to. I just wanted to know. What
Oh,
else can we talk about?
for who exactly?
I don't know. I just want to. I just wondering what else can we comment on it. There's not much to comment about the whole ballerina thing. We need to see how it goes. I hope they don't go for the girl boss route. I don't think they will. I think the franchise is
Yeah,
much
I
more
hope so
evolved
too,
than that.
Yeah, I hope so
I,
too, Dennis.
I don't think they will because the franchise they know like the franchise relies on those like
Yeah,
it's much better writing by from nowadays than like oof, but still
during while we were coming out of the pandemic and before since 2015, since the shift in Hollywood.
I
yes.
don't know. Was it 2015 or 2016? You think?
They say it was 2015, Frostbang.
I think what had been happening since 2012, my
Yeah,
opinion. Like
well,
since
Mm,
yeah,
2012 because no, not the shifting like this in quality, not in the agenda stuff, but like in quality. Because like if you think about it, like I consider the moment that superhero movies went to shit was when the critics said that the Avengers was better than the Dark Knight Rises, which is like a atrocity of an opinion. Sorry, you can't have that opinion. Dark
well,
Knight Rises is way better.
I did
well. I
enjoy the
But
mean,
Avengers movie. It was better than the Dark Knight Rises, though. Just
no,
that I,
it wasn't. It
uh,
wasn't.
the
yeah,
I will
yeah,
say that the Dark Knight Rises has some pretty big plot holes in it.
No,
uh
no.
huh.
Most plot holes have been debunked if you use some basic logic on it.
So
Like
which
there are
which
many
plots?
conveniences. Like how Bruce Wayne got to Gotham. He clearly has some contacts he knows about. He must know people to
Oh,
get in. He's the
yeah,
richest man on the
I
planet.
guess.
He was.
Well, but the
He was
problem was,
dishwasher, but he still knows people. He still has friends outside.
yeah, I guess.
yeah,
I don't want to
And
go.
he
I
is
don't want to go
Batman.
off base on that, but I I never thought one was better than the other. I just thought that both were their own
They're
thing. I
different,
mean,
yes, but I think
yeah.
that the
They
way
were
the
different.
critics handle it, I
Yeah, they
get
were
that, but
different.
I think that the way critics handle it is like, oh, this movie should be more like this movie, and that's not the case,
No, it ain't the case.
I think both had issues. I mean, the Avengers. My biggest problem with that movie is that it does look a little bit like TV
It
level.
does.
Like,
But
Yeah,
only so
and they,
TV. There's some TV with great cinematography and great writing, all right? Just the Avengers
yeah,
is not one of
yeah,
them.
yeah, I'm talking about like just in terms of the look of
The
the
visual.
movie.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that
What they did
looks
didn't do
horrible.
either.
Like
It
it
didn't
looks
look
cheap.
horrible. It just felt like it was a
Cheap.
TV.
No,
And
I
Yeah,
think it looks cheap. It doesn't have any visual impact to say about it. And
well,
I
yeah,
do
yes
think
and
the
no,
writing
yeah.
suffers a lot as well. And I need to see it again to have this opinion to say more, but like I remember the writing is really mediocre. Like, oh, joke, joke, joke,
oh
something,
yeah,
da da da, joke, joke, joke.
I don't know.
yeah,
I watched that
I
recent.
think I think it aged poorly. That's all.
I
But I haven't
well,
seen it.
I'm just briefly saying that I rewatched it recently, and when you watch the older Marvel movies, it's like, wow, they were more restraint in a sense than what
Yeah.
yeah,
now it is.
yeah.
Like,
Restraint is
Yeah,
right.
but Avengers was like the tipping point, how it changed. It started to change. Then they
I would
went
argue.
made they no,
I would.
it was the start, but then Guardians came in and solidified that. So it's both Whedon
Yeah,
has
No,
to
no,
say.
I would agree. Guardians of the Galaxy came in and basically Marvel Studios looked at it and said, we got to emulate everything to be that way. And, I
yeah,
think,
but it wasn't exactly where they all started to destroy all everything that they have built since the first phase. It
no, no, no,
began.
I agree with that. I agree. It's just that's when the first signs of like people
Uh,
were starting to go like, okay, nothing, not every scene has to end with like, punchline or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It actually started with Iron Man
no,
three that the
I think
MCU
back
started to.
then, I think that
Yeah,
no,
it actually.
I would say that Iron Man 3 tried. It was horrible, I agree, but at least it tried to
Yeah,
do
Iron
something
Man 3 is where it
something
all
original in
started.
terms of tone. At least it fucking tried. After
Yeah,
Guardians, they stopped trying. After Guardians, they stopped trying.
uh, stop trying.
Guardians was like Guardians comes out, they stop trying. No, as in Guardians is the movie that marks like before Guardians they start trying. Guardians and afterwards they don't
You
try
okay?
anything else. It's just
You're kind of cutting that out.
so
Yeah, you're cutting out.
everyone. So Josh,
You're,
sorry. My
yeah,
point is that James Gunn and Joss Whedon ruined both Marvel and DC. So that's gotta be impressive,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Such
Yeah,
low graded.
disgusting way, but it's impressive anyway.
Yeah,
Anyway,
such
back
cheap,
to the
low
subject
grade.
with John Wick. Sorry to
Yeah.
tangent.
Yeah. Anyway, are you guys familiar with the actor named Gabriel Byrne?
No, I mean everyone knows Norman Reedus below that, but
He was from the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger that came out in 1999. You know,
No,
where he was the
True Lies.
actually no, it was in 1999. You know, End of Days. End of Days. Yeah, that's the movie.
That's one I've not seen.
no,
Yeah, End of Days was where
kind of
Gabriel Byrne was
forgettable.
last
Yes.
known. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gabriel Barnes was the devil in End of Days,
Uh,
and
Norman
now he's said to
Reedus, I
be
know. Norman
well.
Reedus, I know.
Don't wait, Keanu Reeves or
All right,
what? Or the
Michino.
director?
Sorry, I bought it.
Sorry. Anyway,
Norman Reedus to be announced. The
yeah.
after Riddick and after Catalina. I know
Yeah.
him. He is in The Walking
Norman
Dead and
Reedus.
Death Stranding.
Oh, yeah. I think I know who you're referring to. Yeah, he was from Walking Dead.
He's
Yeah.
still in Walking Dead.
And
Yep.
Death Stranding.
Yep.
Oh,
And we also got Ian
that so
McShane back
it
from
still exists. I forgot.
what? What?
Hold on 1 second. I got mute.
Okay.
So,
Oh, hang on. Hang on. Something went wrong, guys. Yeah, something went wrong there. Clearly, the bandwidth is taking up memory, but I'm going to see if I can get it back up. Pray it. Hang on. Wow. Man. Hang on, guys. Man, bandwidth was giving out right there. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, my browser that's blocked. Gotta click this. Yeah, I gotta reload the page. Hang on. Let me get this back up. Just got caught off for a moment there, guys. Hang on. You can still hear me, right?
yes, I can.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, StreamYard, Andy and Katie were right about one thing. StreamYard can be tricky to operate. I mean, back on the 22nd, they were having problems getting it started, and Andy claimed that it was an outright attack by the enemy deep state. You know, kind of like they were waiting for us to come out of the shadow, out of hiding, into after the you know what came down last month in Pennsylvania. That's my thought. But Retro Girl Nurgle says it because StreamYard was undergoing changes or something. Yeah, it's quite a tricky algorithm to operate. If you,
I'm so sorry about that.
yeah, I know, Frostfang. Yeah, you'd understand. Yeah. Anyway, back to where we were. We also got Ian McShane coming back as Winston Scott. What do you guys think about that? You know,
I mean, Ian McShane is always good.
Yeah, he was good in the fourth film. You know, especially, and I love that line where he told the Marquis, "You arrogant asshole." you know, just before John Wick took out the Marquis with that classic pistol in his left hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was classic. Yep. Now let me get this back up. Hope it works now. All right. Here we are, guys. Back where we left off. And
Yeah, McShane, Winston.
yep. Let me get this back.
I don't know any
Also,
of the other actors, right? Saying that.
yeah,
Neither do
neither
I.
do I. Yeah, yeah, they're quite the anonymous type. You know. Now, that's Len Wiseman. Underworld, Live Free or Die Hard is attached to direct Ana de Armas' movie, who is in the lead role, following her head-turning performance in No Time to Die. Ballerina's lead is an orphaned assassin seeking vengeance against those who killed her parents, a description that supports the theory she's one of the director's gang and suggests the John Wick spinoff will honor the franchise's established tone and style. Angelica Houston will reprise her role from the third movie, and since Ballerina appears set before John Wick's death, Keanu Reeves can feature in the movie too. What do you guys think?
Len Wiseman is a very big question mark.
Yep.
Yep.
I never saw Underworld. I remember didn't watch Live Free or Die Hard. My dad likes it, but I never seen
Yeah,
it.
I saw it too. I saw that movie too. It was the first of the Die Hard films I've watched. Since the
I
late
heard some pretty
2000s.
bad. I hear some pretty bad things about Live Free or Die Hard, but otherwise,
Yeah,
didn't he
I know
make?
what you.
1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute.
It's not as bad as A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
Oh God, no! Is the guy who made that horrible Max Payne movie?
Oh, who is
Yeah,
it?
uh, A Good Day to Die Hard was basically when he's in Russia and he
No,
meets
no,
his son, who's Jai Courtney, who was
no,
another one of
not
those
Yeah.
thinking
actors
about.
that they tried to get to be something back in the day.
Yeah, and Jai Courtney was in the Terminator Genesis film, which
Oh
I
no,
did.
not who I thinking about it. Sorry. I
Oh,
Yeah.
was, I
sorry,
was,
sorry, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was thinking, I was confusing this guy, Lin Wesman, with
Oh,
John Moore, who made that horrible Max Payne movie that there was.
No,
oh, oh,
No,
so
no.
here's what
oh,
I will say about Len Wiseman.
oh,
He knows how to direct action.
oh.
Um, Underworld 1 and 2 he directed, both of which are, I mean,
They,
you
they,
got to remember that they were made in the 2000s, so they were kind of going for that hybrid of like
yeah, which
prosthetics
makes sense.
versus they were trying to go for the hybrid of prosthetics versus CGI, and then he did A Good Day to Die Hard, or no, Live Free or Die Hard. And that's not it's not a bad movie. It's just it doesn't feel like the first couple of Die Hard movies.
Because it was PG-13 rated. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
exactly. Well, also the fact is that it's not like,
Story wise, right? Because the
Yeah,
originals were like,
rated R
it's
version.
stylized wise, it doesn't feel the same way as
I
it
mean, the
got it
third
got
one.
more over the top.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the third word didn't already have a citywide plot, already moved from the
yeah,
hostage situation stuff.
yeah. New York City is where the third film
No, yeah,
takes
but
place.
like the first two movie were hostage situations. I think the first one is the best one. And I don't think there should have been sequels. But
Well,
the
Yeah,
first one is like a hot situation. The second one is also that, but like then the third is like citywide crisis, and then the fourth is a nationwide crisis, and so on and so
the
forth.
third one is kind of like a terrorist plot where
Jeremy
Yeah,
Irons
Jeremy
was
Irons
playing
is
Simon
basically
Says with. Yeah, he was playing Simon Says with John McCain and Samuel L. Jackson's character to
let
go
him
and find
finish,
some.
as
please.
well as the police force.
Oh, do go on, Geek Defense Initiative.
No, so just let him finish. Just first thing finish.
Oh, so the third one was basically Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis and the police force and I don't know whatever National Guard. I don't know who else. They're basically being
Oh,
played on a wild goose chase.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
meanwhile,
It was all about. It was all about distracting the two guys from stopping them from robbing the Wall Street Bank of its gold reserves.
yeah, I mean, it was basically distracting everyone,
it
and
was
then
a heist,
also,
basically.
Jeremy Irons had a personal vendetta against John McClane because
Yeah, because his brother,
it was his brother in the
brother.
first movie. So I like the third one as well, but the
Yeah, me
second,
too. I think I actually saw the second one first, but mostly the ending where John McClane set the plane on fire after he was overpowered by William Shatner. You know, the guy who played the president in Iron Man 3?
He also famous for being like, what's the name? What?
Eagle
What?
Eye.
No, no. William Shatner, right? Is I think
Think,
he is
yes.
like the guy from Star Trek, right?
Oh,
Also,
yeah, and he was also from the Bill and Ted movies
and
as
TJ
Death.
Hooker.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Quite a fascinating talent he was, along with Bruce Willis and others that back then.
Yeah, so I think the thing was I was just trying to go down Len Wiseman's credential list. He also did the remake of Total Recall with Colin
Oh,
Farrell and Kate Beckinsale and
Jessica Alba, including Bryan Cranston and Bokeem Woodcock.
Jessica Biel, not Jessica Alba.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. Um, the one thing I will give about Total Recall, the remake, is that design wise, it is a great looking movie. Like between the robots and the cityscapes and everything, like it's a very great looking movie. And I mean, is it a good movie? That's questionable. I have not seen it for a while, but it was when I watched it, it was a great looking movie.
Yeah, it must have been. I
Which
haven't seen
one? Sorry.
the remake. You know, the
Of
Total
Total
Recall.
Recall.
Oh, all right, all right, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
never
mean,
seen either, so I don't can tell.
the Total Recall book. Well, I think they said that the Total Recall remake was supposed to be closer to the book, but I'm not sure.
Well, I haven't been familiar with the Total Recall franchise and stuff. I've been
Neither
usually
am
more.
I.
Yeah. Anyway, let's let's proceed. Ballerina is a spin-off set in the universe of John Wick. Anna Damaris will play the titular role, a character who appeared in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum as a child ballerina who was being trained to become an assassin eventually. In Ballerina, the story follows Diarma's character, who wants revenge on those who murdered her family. The director, as you know, Len Wiseman, release date June 7th, 2024. Studios, Summit Entertainment, Thunder Road Films, 8711 Productions, distributor, Lionsgate, writers, Shay Hayden and Emerald Pennell. The
I'm not
cast we already.
I'm not
What?
familiar with the writers.
Yeah, neither am I. And the main genre is action. It's a prequel to Chapter 3. Its prequels are Chapter 3, 2, and 1, and its sequel is John Wick 4, as we all know.
We don't need the other, but all right.
Okay. All right. Now, ready to discuss the Sophia spinoff that's been rumored?
All right, tell me.
All right.
I think that I don't know. Sophia didn't mark me that much. I don't know why she should have an spinoff.
Oh, well, her,
I
her
think
last.
I think Kane or even nobody could have an spin-off, but I don't know
You
Sophia.
mean Mr. No? You mean Mr.
Mr.
No?
Mr. Nobody, yeah. I
Yeah, the
think that
tracker.
yeah, because
Mm.
I like a John Wick Western starring Mr. Nobody, but that's about it
So I
Yeah.
just want to like cut in and just
with
let you
that
guys
character.
know. The writer for Ballerina did
1 minute.
Army of Thieves, which is a spinoff of Army of the Dead. They did John Wick Chapter 4, they co-wrote it. And here's the part where it gets a little bit like, I'm not sure. They co-wrote Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, really?
Oh, great! I am. I love Rebel Moon, so fuck it, I am.
Huh.
If he did that, but Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2 was mostly Zack, I think, so we cannot talk much about that. I think.
Wow. Who would have
Yeah,
thought?
I mean,
Yeah.
the last
Huh.
time Zack Snyder tried to go full Zack Snyder was Sucker Punch.
No, he's
And
always for Zack Snyder.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my view, and I'm right.
yeah. Well, Sucker Punch was the last movie that he did that was kind of like his own thing, like from his own idea.
No, I mean,
But,
dude,
well,
come on. Rebel Moon was brilliant. I don't know why people
sure.
hate it. They just hate because it
Well,
was
no. I'm not talking about. I have not seen Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, it's amazing. Watch it.
I've
Or the
heard different
director's cut.
things. You're the
Or the
second
director's cut.
You're the
Or
second person I've heard that said that they really liked it. I've just heard a lot of different opinions about it.
yeah, there's a
And
lot of different opinions going
I
around.
mean, I understand that there's some people out there that think that really don't have high regards of Zack Snyder, and I can sort of understand that. I mean,
I don't know.
You know,
Yeah.
I think if it's not your cup of tea, it's alright. But you don't go to but in the words of Quentin Tarantino, you don't go to a Metallica show and ask the fuckers to turn down the volume.
Okay. Are we able to continue, guys?
yeah. So, I'm
Yeah, sure.
sorry. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
man.
All right. Now, Sophia's spinoff is a John Wick spinoff featuring Sophia Al Aswar, which has been rumored. Though there will only be 5 John Wick movies, plenty of spin-off series can fill the void. One of these is rumored to focus on one of Halle Berry's greatest roles, Sophia Al Aswar. While she wasn't in John Wick 4, Sophia was a key character in the third installment, assisting Wick while he was on the run from the high table. Berry herself recently confirmed that something is in the works for Sophia in an interview with IGN. The actress stated there could possibly be a Sophia, her own movie. She may not be in John Wick, but she might be doing her own thingy. Whether it's a spinoff,
Oh
what? Yeah.
no, sorry. So she just like said it in an interview that may happen. So I don't think that that's like, oh, there's going to be a movie. I think that she said there was a possibility.
Yeah,
So I don't
possibility.
think that's a confirmation. That's nothing. That's just a
Yeah,
wild speculation. I wouldn't take it with a grain. I would take.
yeah,
I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it as fact. I wouldn't even consider it by this point.
yeah. Whether it's a spin-off television series or a movie of her own, the prospect is exciting. Barry recently had a canceled spin-off after following her character Jinx from Die Another Day. Barry was understandably upset, as it would have been a first for a Bond girl to receive that kind of attention. As of now, there is no information regarding the potential Sophia John Wick spin-off, as it doesn't seem as though the project is currently in development. That means there are no release dates or story details. However, Barry hints it could eventually come to fruition. But what do you guys think?
Who
Well,
knows?
yeah,
Well, I don't think that's gonna happen.
yeah.
But I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. I just don't see Sophia as the best character for this kind of thing.
Nope, I don't either. But I do see the possibility for Kane to get his own movie after
Hmm.
seeing him pull off a lot of badass kills in Chapter 4 as much as
No,
he.
that's perfect because Kane sounds like a great character for a movie.
Huh,
I mean,
And his story ends in a cliffhanger. That's it as well.
yeah, okay.
I mean, Halle Berry still got it. Like she's still, pretty sexy at like 50.
Yeah.
But it's just
Mhm.
a question of is there really enough meat there to chew in terms of like, a
Oh, yeah.
story.
Oh, yeah.
And
That. Hmm.
and it's just like that's what I always have with Marvel spin-off TV shows or whatever type spin-off TV shows. Like, is there really enough there to go about it? Like, we're getting an Agatha Harkness TV show. I'm not going to go into specifics about that, but the thing is, Agatha Harkness never had her own comic line,
Yeah.
and they're making a show about her. So, what's the
Yeah.
point? Because
Yeah.
there's
What is the
nothing
point?
there.
Yeah. You're
Just
just right.
because, like Agatha, all along the like her little theme in the show was catchy. Like, no, that's not enough.
No, it certainly isn't. But yeah. Anyway, are we ready to continue?
Yeah.
All right. Next up is the confirmed John Wick TV show, which is Under the High Table. As we know, it is confirmed by Lionsgate that a spinoff on John Wick TV show is in the works, and here it is. Lionsgate Vice Chairman Michael Burns confirmed in March 2024 that a TV series set in John Wick's universe is on the way. Though little revealed about what the focus of the series would be, Burns stated in Q&A that Lionsgate would be expanding one of our greatest action franchises, starting Keanu Reeves, going on to say that he thinks it will be a television series. And here is his quotes. While it is confirmation, okay. while it is confirmation that a John Wick TV series is in the early stages of conceptualization, Burns's use of the word "think" indicates this is far from a done deal. While this is confirmation that a John Wick TV series is in early stages of conceptualization, Burns's use of the word "think" indicates that this is far from a done deal. Therefore, it's likely to be a while before any concrete details about the spinoff are made public. Yeah. Okay. Next up, the rumored John Wick spinoffs. There are a number of other rumors about John Wick spinoffs, all of which have massive potential. A crossover. Oh God, here we are. A crossover between John Wick and Atomic Blonde were teased by director David Leitch in 2017.
But
I mean,
Atomic
I mean,
Blonde is on the 80s. Doesn't work.
yeah, I know it's completely crazy that they would plan something like that. John Wick is in the 21st century. You know, with the where the setting takes place. I mean,
In Atomic Blonde, she's just a MI6 operative, and in
yeah,
John Wick, he is an assassin, a gangster. I don't think they should meet.
yeah. Now, Leach co-directed the first John Wick movie before moving on to bigger budget movies like Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, and Bullet Train, but he could return to the world of John Wick. When asked about the possibility, the filmmaker laughed, "It would be great. I get this question once in a while, and I think it's just more their time period lines. I would absolutely do it." Two other John Wick spin-off ideas have been thrown around by franchise producer Erica Lee. The first of which is a spin-off following Lawrence Fishburne's The Bowery King.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, Bowery King would definitely be worth a shot, with Lawrence Fishburne, especially since he appeared with Keanu in the Matrix movies.
Could
And
you guys
they
explain
make
to
something
me?
like a gangster movie or a con movie.
Could you guys
Yeah,
explain to me what I remember Lawrence Fishburne appearing like in the trailers for one of them, but could you explain his role
which movies, Matrix or John Wick?
John
for
Wick.
John Wick? I've seen all the Matrix movies.
Oh, he's the
He,
leader of a group.
he is the king of the homeless, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and the homeless are more than just the usual homeless you see out in the streets in the real world. Yeah, yeah, you see they first appeared in the second movie after John Wick defeated Common's character on a train.
Or
And
more, they are petty criminals who disguise themselves as homeless to acquire
yeah,
information. They're the people that live on the edge of the high table, basically, of organized crime.
yeah, yep, and the Bowery King is their leader, played by Lawrence Fishburne.
Yep.
Yeah, and you got to hand it to Fishburne. He does have his own talents there.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
but great as Terry as well.
uh-huh. He was also in chapters movies 3 and 4 as well. And in the end, he became the owner of John Wick's Black Dog.
True.
Yeah, you know. He yeah. Now,
The nameless dog. Yeah, I know. I remember.
now let's continue. Yeah, I think the world of the Bowery King and the Bowery is something that we are really interested in exploring more of. He sort of runs the underground, and it's such an interesting world. How does he get the guns and the boats? He shows up everywhere. He's the leader. He has homeless running the streets and information through pigeons. He's low tech and analog in a digital world, and he knows everyone and gets everywhere. I think that is something that's really interesting to explore. How, now, Lee also teased that Akira's. Well, hold on. So, how would you guys feel about the Bowery King getting his own spinoff before we move on? You know, how do you think Lawrence Fishburne would do as the Bowery King in his own television series named after his character?
I'm just waiting for great defense. So just go ahead.
Also, no. I think you do great. I don't.
Yeah,
That's the one who shows the most promise, actually, Bowery King.
yeah,
Make
Yeah,
something
he's-
like a Sopranos with homeless people. You know,
Yeah,
that
he
would
would
be
have plenty of character and background to explore through his origin of how he became the Bowery King after he was spared by John Wick since they first met.
I recently watched Tulsa King on Paramount Plus with Sylvester Stallone, and it could be an interesting idea of a guy who is sort of disenfranchised from his own type of group, or like has to go on his own and create some type of empire of himself, like in an unknown way. It could
Yeah.
it could really work, especially if you get someone like Lawrence Fishburne, who is a very charismatic guy, like it could very much work.
Yep.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, that could definitely work too. Hmm. Any more? Or can we move
Oh,
on? All right. All right. Lee also teased that Akira's quest to avenge her father's death might not be in the John Wick 5 movie, but in another spin off, stating the character of Akira really pops in the movie, and I'd love to sort of see some further adventures with her character. There's a lot. There's a lot of characters in John Wick 4, and a lot of fan favorites from movies of the past. There's definitely a lot of stuff we want to dig deeper into. That means that Donnie Yen's Kane would return in the movie too, paying off the John Wick Chapter 4 post-credit scenes. Now, so what do you guys think about that?
Well, I haven't seen John Wick 4, so I mean, I heard that Donnie Yen was in one of them, but
Yeah,
I I think it could be good. I mean, whenever you include like someone like Donnie Yen, I mean, you always wonder, okay, is this going to get Chinese finances behind it? So,
yeah.
I mean,
China banned
Chinese.
the fourth film. Yeah, China banned the fourth movie over Keanu Reeves' support for Tibet.
No, I didn't know that. Well, so
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to. I don't think even John Wick has an appeal for China. So I don't
no,
think
he doesn't.
there's yeah,
Keanu is
exactly.
part Taiwanese.
You know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no, that's going to be a giant. Hearing about that, I knew he was half Asian, but I wasn't aware he was half Taiwanese. So
and he's
that
Chinese too. He's also part Chinese. Kind
so
of
he's
like
quarter Taiwan. He's quarter Taiwan and quarter
quarter Chinese and either
half
quarter or
half
halving.
European. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he was born in Beirut, Lebanon. Yeah, he was
Oh,
born
that's
in.
gonna and then that potentially is gonna piss off some other group of people as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it didn't. But at least his support to Ukraine did not upset the Russians into banning his fourth film. They actually let it. They let it in their theaters last year too. Since I saw at the box office records,
Mm.
you know,
Interesting.
yeah. So far, the Russians are pretty much a little more forgiving than China when it comes to international politics.
I think the reason is because like when you stop to think about it, sorry, I'm distracted.
No problem.
When we because like the movie itself has no politics against the Russians, just the Chinese are a bunch of petty assholes.
Yeah, yeah. They're recklessly sensitive assholes, if you ask me. I mean, people were telling me that the reason the elites ripped us off on Kingsley's portrayal of the Mandarin in the third movie was all because of China not willing to let it stand with their first Chinese character in the MCU being a Chinese supervillain. I mean, one country out of everyone else in the world just for 25 million in yen or won or yuan. I mean, it was
So
ridiculous.
I believe the real controversy came from the whole Ancient One in Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
heard.
that's true as well.
So the
Then
thing
in
was,
the comic, he was a Tibetan monk, so they changed it for a white
Yeah,
woman because the Chinese wouldn't let them do Tibetan
well,
things.
they couldn't choose a Chinese woman Chinese man or woman or a Tibetan man or woman because it was going to make a political statement. So they basically chose the lesser two evils, but then also the media's biggest, like, see they're trying to replace their roles, like, type of deal, like with Tilda Swinton. Like, I heard other names like Morgan Freeman and Bill Nighy's names were thrown around, but
Morgan Freeman got banned from Russia for helping peddle much of what was being pushed out by the government since 2017.
Well, Doctor Strange 1 came out in 2016, so and then you gotta take in consideration 2015 is probably when they were making the movie.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta get back to Screen Rant to where we left off.
Okay.
I mean,
nice.
The thing seems to take up a lot of memory on this when you're using StreamYard, guys. Yeah, so you can never tell when the thing is about to start letting out. Yeah. Okay, here we are. Let me just get the screen back up, and we can continue. Let me see. All right. If the Continental is a hit with Peacock subscribers, Season 2 will likely be greenlit, and it could lead to a number of other John Wick spin-offs set in different decades, too. Now the Winston-led Continental has established itself outside the mainline series. More John Wick spin-offs could happen without a key character being the connective tissue. I mean, before we go reading more about this Nobody Crosser, what do you guys think about Lionsgate's confidence in moving forward with the IP without the titular character as their connective tissue?
Don't know.
Well,
it's possible. I mean, you have to get like actors that could definitely like magnetize an audience to go see it. Like when we were talking about like spin-offs and stuff like that, I'm just like, well, could they not? I mean, like if you're talking about like someone like Bob Odenkirk who did Nobody, I mean, could you not entice someone like I don't know, Nicolas Cage to come in and do some type of assassin type character? Like,
Nick Cage would be interesting, actually.
Like, like get like action stars from like the late or early 90s or mid 90s or early 2000s and kind of like say, okay, we want to do a story around like someone you're playing. So
yeah. I mean, it's kind of ambitious for them to keep going on, like trying to pull up a crossover or something. But I'd rather stick with just focusing on the characters that are within the John Wick universe.
Exactly.
And not try to go.
But think about it. Like, you can just introduce Nick Cage in and have him play like some type of character. Like, I know the dude is sort of insane in the membrane a little bit, but you could have it be a redemption of Nicolas Cage where he comes back in, he plays like sort of like an action hero, like maybe have like, you know, that touch of like the Nicolas Cage thing where it's similar to freaking Keanu Reeves, but just like in a very subtle way, and just do it like, you know, not I guess straight, but just sort of a little bit tongue in cheek, like how the first kind of like John Wick did.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Like just kind of like do like that own version of it, and you can get like I don't know who else you can get that's kind of like sort of like Wesley Snipes or someone like that, or I mean, even though like Wesley Snipes I think is being looked at possibly a Blade, but you know, I think he's gonna look at the Blade
the same way as Mahershala Ali's been seeing it.
Yeah.
Problems. Yeah, I know. can't just believe any word people say without seeing actual proof of regime change and stuff.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, just get people that would be a draw for audiences. Like, ooh, like Nicolas Cage is playing it straight now. Like, I want to see that. Like, mainstream, like, character.
yeah, mainstream indeed. Anyway, are we ready to move on now?
Yeah.
All right. Next up, will there ever be a John Wick Nobody crossover? Creator Derek Kolstad has considered a possible John Wick 6 Nobody crossover. Though the John Wick franchise will continue with different characters, it's possible that after the death of the titular character in Chapter 4, he could appear in a crossover with Bob Odenkirk's Nobody, since Derek Kolstad created both John Wick and Nobody's Hutch Manzel. In an interview with Comic Book Movie, Kolstad was reminded of a monument in the very first John Wick, which Reeves says that nobody is John Wick. This inspired, though, about the serious connections between the two films, their lead characters, and how they could intertwine. While this may not lead to a full-blown movie crossover that sees Hutch and Wick battling together, Kolstad mentioned that he was open to the idea of shared universes. The writer discussed what a possible crossover could look like. I always loved the idea of shared universes. I never really gave it much thought, but I also like the idea that these guys, that they exist in various universes that are detached, and yet if I did have them in the same universe, it would literally be like one holds the door open for the other and go like, "Hey man," or "Hey dude," and that's it. Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
A Nobody crossover with John Wick franchise is absolutely not confirmed, and while there are so many similarities between the two properties, the crossover is still unlikely, even if Kolstad is at the helm of both. The John Wick series belongs to Lionsgate, whereas the Nobody franchise is owned by Universal. That means that for a crossover to happen, the two studios would have to come to some kind of agreement, which rarely happens. Yeah, I know. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't even see that a crossover with other franchises happening, especially when they're owned by other studios. But what do you guys think about this?
I think the possibility that they could do is similar to what they did in remember Split,
Oh yeah,
in terms of like they kind of like had their own movie, but then by the end they kind of have like this, I don't know, like one-off scene where oh, it's within the Unbreakable universe. Now,
yeah.
not going to end as terribly as the Glass did. I'm not an advocate for that, but
Yeah, yeah. Neither.
I think you could do something where you have a character that comes in and okay, like this is a pretty good like like solitary movie, and then you could have like a end credit sequence and you have like a character from the other franchise pop in, and then people are like, ooh, who's this guy, like, and it doesn't take anything away from the movie, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
like that to me, I mean, as much as people malign Glass and how didn't work, it could work in terms of how, like, the twist in the movie is like, oh, it's part of the John Wick universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be. I'd like to see that.
Like, that's why I said earlier, like getting a Nicolas Cage type spinoff or whatever. The problem is with Nobody is that Nobody nobody felt very, and I saw it. Nobody felt very grounded for what it was worth.
Yeah.
Compared to John Wick. I'm not saying
In
John
terms
Wick
of
wasn't.
setting, not in terms of action. In terms of action, is actually kind of more absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, like if you watch like Nobody versus John Wick, I mean, you can see like parts are similar to it, where as this guy who's got like these hidden skills and able to do shit and whatever, but the thing is that you there's a stark difference between how John Wick escalates versus how Nobody escalates. Because
Yeah.
with Nobody, it's basically he wants to protect his family and be left the hell alone. So
Yeah. That doesn't sound like much of a good idea for a crossover, is it? I mean, John Wick.
no, I mean it's not. I don't think it's like it's just a guy that's just like don't fuck with me like and my family and whatever. But basically, John Wick basically has nothing left to lose. Like basically, the puppy was the last, straw for him.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yep.
so I don't really know if doing a Nobody crossed with John Wick would work because I'm like he wants to kind of be out of this type of life. So why would he want to go to the like society? But I want to let you guys talk.
Actually, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. You make a good point, Frostfang. I don't see why they would want to have John Wick in the universe teaming up with someone that wants to be left alone and looking out for his family. I mean, John
Actually,
Wick.
in the end, nobody goes back to the organization. He seems happy about it. Just saying,
Huh,
nobody.
oh, oh, I see.
I
Yeah.
sorry, I had to point that out.
Oh, no problem there, Geek Defense
It's
Initiative.
more like he's bored of the normality. He wanted to leave, but he got bored and went back into the dangerous world he inhabited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, go continue. Sorry.
Yeah. And John Wick, yeah, he took on the bad guys in the first movie for killing his dog, and then killed the leader of the mafia for killing a friend of his in retaliation to the death of his son. And then in the second movie, he he gets back into action because Santonio, the villain of the second movie, destroyed his house with a bazooka of some sort just to get him back in the game. Yeah, that and that that was definitely the last straw for John Wick to even have any shot of a normal life while living a life. Yeah, I mean, and then when he was set up, he ended after realizing that he was being staged by, Santonio into killing his sister, then taking the fall for him. He ended up losing his temper, and after killing many of the gorilla, he ended up breaking the continental ground rules by shooting Santonio right in the forehead, right when right when others were trying to talk him out of it. And boy, that definitely set up the stages for movies 3 and 4.
I need to go now. Sorry, I
Oh,
need to go.
No
But
oh,
problem.
it was
th-
great. But next time we talk more.
thank you. Well, I don't know what. Well, it was quite fun hanging out with you on the panel, Frostfang. I'm looking forward to doing more with you in the coming weeks.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, do you want to talk any more about anything else?
Sure. Next week, I'm thinking if we can find some more people to join us, we can probably talk much about Star Wars as well as what you heard about one of the stormtroopers having that southern accent and so much more that's been happening to the brand right after
Well, you
Disney.
don't want to talk about like what happened today. I mean, like with the cancellation of
Oh
Acolyte.
yeah. Oh, good point. Yeah, we better check
Like, I
that
mean,
out.
like I don't mind like being on a little bit longer. I mean, Hypnot's not on for another almost hour and a half, so I don't have to do my duties.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um,
All right.
so Acolyte season 2 is not happening. Confirmed.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. Because that show was really insulting to the entire your Star Wars lore and stuff. I mean, how man, and all this was all like a diary of Leslie Headland projecting everything she went through into the show, and for the characters to act like the people, like herself and the people she was around with during her years.
Yeah, it basically sounded like I didn't see it myself, but I've seen enough of it to say it's basically her and her daddy issues.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get over to the John Wick. Well, here. All right, let's get this next one up. Yeah, this may be the. Yeah, let's check it. Look, here we are. Over here, it says, "Bang Showbiz. John Wick won't be filming in 2000. I mean, John Wick 5 won't be filming in 2025." That's what it says. Now, filming on the fifth John Wick movie won't begin next year. Rumors that the next installation of the action franchise would enter production in 2025 have circulated online, but sources have now told Collider that shooting for the flick will not commence next year. The industry insiders added that although concrete plans for a sequel to John Wick Chapter 4 may eventually come into fruition, director Chad Stahelski is solely focused on upcoming picture Highlander, which stars Henry Cavill and is due to start filming on location in Scotland early next year. After the success of Chapter 4, which brought in 440.1 million at the box office when it hit theaters in 2023, Lionsgate chairman Joe Drake announced a fifth entry into the series was in development at the studio, but there was no confirmation as to whether Keanu Reeves, 59, would be reprising his role as the titular assassin. Even though the series' main character seemingly perished at the end of the fourth flick, Stahelski revealed he was open to returning to the franchise he if the story was right. He told Screen Rant, "I'm massively in love with the characters and the world that we've built. I want to try other things? Yes. But to brutally be honest with you, if I was smart enough and good enough to come up with a new way to continue the story, I would. It just felt right to end where Keanu and I both, just in our hearts and our souls, felt it was good to do what we did to end it and put a good cap on this and feel satisfied and not go out on it down, but go out on a high. It felt right to end the series like that." The director added he wasn't opposed to working on another project in the series, which will see the spin-off movie John Wick Presents Ballerina next year with Ana de Armas in the lead role. The 55-year-old filmmaker explained, "I have no problem. I don't think I'd ever be the guy. Oh no, I've already done that. I'd love to try to do something new because everyone's a challenge. I'm not trying to do an episodic feature thing where they're all the same. So to answer your question, yeah, if something pops in and it works, yeah, I'd love to do it. If I could crack any of those stories that we mentioned, I'd love to." Wow. Well, so what do you think?
I think it's possible to do another John Wick movie, but they would have to set it before the events of John Wick 4.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah,
you gotta like either do like an interspersed type movie where either he's younger or whatever. You gotta do like I, as much
yeah,
as I'm not really a big fan of like de-aging technology, but maybe I don't know, like I don't know, not like CGI stuff, but maybe
yeah,
I don't know, prosthetics or whatever, but even those
yeah,
sometimes people have issues with. I'm not sure. I mean, it's
yeah,
possible to do so, but the question is, what type of story are you going to tell? I
yeah,
mean,
that too.
people were really hypercritical of, Wolverine joining in Deadpool and Wolverine this summer, and I mean, like, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but to me, I thought they gave a good, at least a decent explanation of why he was there and whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I the TVA is always going to be a very difficult like beast to tackle because a lot of people don't like Loki and Loki season 2 and 1. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I mean, it's very much possible to tell a story where it's a spin like John Wick 5 could be like its own thing. Like it could be like his past and his present and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but you'd have to do it well. That's the biggest question.
Yeah, and who would be left out there you could find that has the skills to perform such a great story, as well as making sure the management isn't so effed up with hacks like we've seen in the bigger studios.
Yeah. I mean, Lionsgate is not a big studio. I mean, I think I remember the Hunger Games was basically their make it or break it point for them back in 2012. And if they didn't make the money, then they would shut down. And
Wow.
they did make the movie. They did make the money. I mean, they poured a lot of, well, as much as they could at the time because they're not a very big company, into it. So they finally became like, a bigger player at the time. So it's a big question. I mean, it depends on how they handle it. I mean, I imagine Keanu Reeves cares, but at the same time, I'm like, what other joints is he being like offered? Like, I know a lot of people have said, is he going to play Ghost Rider? Well, I'm not sure because I mean, there's rumors that Secret Wars he's going to play or Secret Wars Nicolas Cage is going to return or whatever. I doubt it. I doubt that whole like angle of like bringing back cameos is going to work again. I mean, it worked for Deadpool 3, but
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially after what's been going on with their handling of the MCU since Iron Man 3, when they decided to start deviating from the source material and start ripping us off with trash that nobody likes. Yeah, and I mean, and I'm talking about degrading, which regards degrading of the characters that we all enjoy looking at in the comics.
Hard to really say. I mean, it's very hard to say. The question is that like, I don't really know if Iron Man 3 was the catalyst to change everything. I mean, Iron Man 3 came out in 2013. I remember seeing that movie when I was like 18 at the time.
Yeah, I think I was 21 at the time too.
Yeah, I think I was 18 at the time. I saw it. The biggest thing I remember watching about that movie was the fact that the movie advertised itself as way more serious than it actually was, and that really ticked me off.
Yeah, it ticked me off too that they chose not to do the Mandarin exactly as shown in the comics, but what he uses to fight Iron Man. That they chose to copy Christopher Nolan's plot twist in the Batman Begins movie. All because they are too lazy and too invested in China's box office markets to even give a crap.
There was possibly a way that they could have done the Mandarin without ticking off China, but I don't think they were creative enough to do so.
Yeah, they certainly weren't. They were just lazy, just like the people that were at Warner Brothers working on Superman 3 at the time. Because really, the way they treat these characters within the IPs has been getting on my nerves lately, frustrating. But the first time they've ever let me down as a whole in Hollywood was with Spider-Man 3 when they chose to kill off Eddie Brock rather than keeping him alive for more installments. I mean, it was all because Sam Raimi wasn't up to the task of multitasking with multiple Spider-Man
Well, I heard that Sam Raimi wanted to make a movie with Sandman and the New Goblin, and then Sony said you gotta include Venom because the hands want Venom, and he was like, I really don't care about Venom, and he had to force him in there. So I don't know.
Yeah, Venom did not get as much screen time as Sandman and New Goblin. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But of course, the second thing Hollywood did that to really let me down before Iron Man 3 was there was Paramount lying to us about Shockwave being the villain in Dark of the Moon, that it was instead Sentinel Prime. I mean, if you weren't going to make Shockwave the main villain, why would you lie to us about it? Yeah, that's quite another thing I like to know from these people who were running the studios back then when Michael Bay was directing the movies.
I mean, I don't think Michael Bay cared a lot about the Transformers franchise. I seriously think that after the first movie that they should have handed it off to a director who said, I like the visual direction of what Michael Bay was doing, but I do care about, the Transformers franchise. They kind of did that a little bit late with the Bumblebee movie, even though they kind of changed the direction with Rise of the Beast.
Yeah, and that movie was that movie underperformed under $1 billion because they not only disenfranchised the Decepticons, but they were playing way too safe with all the destruction and the mayhem in the film. Yeah, and because they obviously didn't get some of the casting right for the voices, like Unicron, for example.
Yeah, was it Tony Todd that did
the Fallen in Transformers 2. Tony Todd voiced the Fallen in Revenge of the Fallen, which was in 2009. That movie I was totally into at the time after watching the first in 2007.
Who voiced Unicron and Rise of the Beast?
An actor called Coleman Domingo, who was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The guy that was being rumored to replace Jonathan Majors before the studios at the Expos announced RDJ's return as Doctor Doom. He appeared as Zendaya's father in the Euphia series too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I saw Rise of the Beast in theaters. It was supposed to be a direct. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was direct.
Paramount streaming or something?
No, direct to not direct to Paramount streaming. A sequel to Bumblebee the movie.
Oh yeah, it was. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. See, I always thought that they could have done something better with going forward with Transformers. Like after the last night. I mean, I tried to watch the last night because I have Paramount Plus. I've been watching a lot of good shows on there. I tried to watch Transformers last night, and that movie, it felt like it was trying to be so many different things at once.
I could tell because of the tone when that they wanted to make the film try to master everything at once, like mashing in all the comedy and stuff while mashing all the serious tone and stuff. Yeah, I've seen it.
It tried to be an Arthurian legend type thing. And then they said, oh no, Transformers have actually always been here. Like they've have always been here, like during like Revolutionary War and stuff like that. I'm just like, wait, what would they transform into if like during those times there's nothing to transform into?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was quite. Yeah, it got real crazy when they was starting to do flashbacks of the Transformers being on Earth, and that's something I would definitely look
That
at.
was the thing that really bugged me. I'm just like, what is there to transform into? I mean, they can't transform into wood and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I
it
know.
doesn't make any sense. And like, if they came like during ancient times, like, and people mistook them for like mythological creatures and whatever, I'd be okay with that. But they didn't really do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I've seen a glimpse of something from the '80s where they had that kind of thing. I mean, didn't the '80s cartoon feature anything that was, King Arthur related or something?
The '80s TV show.
I think it did.
I'm not really sure. I didn't watch the '80s TV show. I watched I'm like at the last end of the line millennial. Uh I watched Armada, I watched Beast Wars, I watched Cybertron after Armada that came out. It's just like there's possibilities for them to do like experimental stuff with that series, but they're not taking advantage of it. Like, you could do a show centered around the mini cons, which are like smaller Transformers, and make a Paramount Plus like series around that.
Yeah,
But they refuse to do that.
yeah, I know. Yeah, because there's so much. Yeah, because the executives and the shareholders are animals for us, Fang. Animals with so much hubris and going on in their skulls.
Well, I mean, I don't really know if they really know where to take it. I mean, now they're thinking about doing like a GI Joe like Transformers crossover. I'm like, well, I don't really know if that works because the fact is that GI Joe has not had has a successful rate.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not that popular with everyone today as it used to be back in the '80s.
well, I mean, I saw GI Joe Rise of Cobra, and it's not. I'll put it this way. I saw Transformers 1 with my parents, and both of them liked it. I saw G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra with a friend, and my mom, who took us to the theater because we were probably middle schoolers by that point. And my mom didn't like it. For a middle schooler, didn't like it because I thought it was very cartoony.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I seriously don't. Yeah, I don't buy into the love triangle thing between Duke Baroness and Destro. That was weird, very weird. I
Well,
mean,
it didn't feel real in a sense. Like, it felt. I mean, it's the movie's directed by Stephen Sommers, and Stephen Sommers is a very hit and miss director. Like, he did the first two Mummy movies. I like those movies. He did Van Helsing. I kind of feel a little bit mixed on Van Helsing, but that's okay. G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, I felt like maybe he did not have a good script. Maybe he was given a little bit too much budget. It felt
yeah,
like a cartoon towards the end.
yeah, it was kind of cartoony. Yeah, I've seen that movie too. I think, but
So,
I, I did like Retaliation much better than Rise of Cobra. I mean, yeah, both
yeah, but
movies were
that
awesome.
movie didn't make as much. I it probably made the same amount, but it wasn't successful. And then they did a Snake Eyes spinoff, and then they crapped on what Snake Eyes was because
Yeah,
Snake Eyes is supposedly a white man, but he's mute. and it pissed off like the GI Joe diehards. So
Yeah, I know this because I learned about the character since watching the first movie as well as watching Retaliation and the animated series called Renegades, GI Joe Renegades.
yeah,
Yeah, he was mute. Yeah, I believe that was the one thing that pissed off fans the most regarding that movie.
yeah. So I really don't know where they're going with that, but
Yeah,
I mean, I really do wish, like, we're getting, what is it, Transformers 1 in the fall. I really do wish it was more a War for Cybertron type movie. Like, I played War for Cybertron, the game, the first one.
yeah,
It's a really good game. But they're making it a more like kiddie type movie, and I'm like, I think kids could, have a little bit more warfare or whatever in their movies.
yeah,
Like the movie is just very like the first trailer I remember was very jokey, 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 and then the second trailer they try to say, "Oh, it's more serious," and I'm like, "Well, we'll have to wait and see." Like because
yeah,
you kind of revealed your hand a little bit too much in the first.
yeah,
And I like Chris Hemsworth as
yeah,
Optimus Prime. I mean,
yeah,
as I said, that the whole movie it seems kind of jokey.
yeah.
So, but at the same time, I think Chris Hemsworth in the movie seems like he's trying his best to do like a young Optimus Prime.
Yeah, he would have done even better if he used his real Australian accent for the character, and that would have been helped him be
Really?
even more. Well, yeah, his Australian accent, the kind you hear him speak
Mm,
with in most
I
of the
never
live
thought of
action.
that.
Yeah, he would have actually been more effective with that voice of the character if he had just used his real accent instead of trying to ditch it. Also,
Yeah,
I'm sure this is another thing we could discuss in the future with others, especially with Hold My Dual Shock. I mean, Katie and Andy would know more about what is going on and what's been going on over at Paramount over the years than well, much of what we don't know about Frost Frank, and so would Peter. I mean, they did a reaction for Rise of the Beast last year before the movie came out, and well, I wasn't even using StreamYard back then. Yeah, I'm hoping I can get them to come
well,
aboard
I would
often.
actually like to know what were your thoughts about Rise of the Beasts.
It was okay. I enjoyed it more when I was in the theaters when I saw it first thing with my stepdad. But yeah, when I got it on DVD to watch it on the smaller screen, it was kind of meh, you know, and
Yeah,
not
I
as
saw it with a friend of mine. We saw a real early matinee, like like
yeah,
11 a.m. matinee.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I had a lot of nostalgia about the fact that they had Optimus Primal and Cheetor were there, but I felt they came very, very late in the movie. Um,
yeah, they did.
I wasn't really impressed with the main bad guy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but then
Some of the
again, I
dialogue was off.
heard that there was 5 different edits of that movie
Yeah, yeah,
before it finally released because they pushed it back.
yeah. And I noticed that there were and I noticed that there were deleted scenes of Optimus fighting a Decepticon that was in the form of a Metro bus.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. I I thought. I mean, like I when I walked away from it, I sort of liked it, but I think I was just more entranced by the fact that like the member berries of not quite the member berries, but like hearing Maximal Prime saying up maximize and stuff like that, like
Hmm.
it I mean if they had like Megatron in there, like the Megatron
You know,
from
that would
Beast
have been.
Wars, where he's a giant, he's a T Rex and whatever. I understand, like they're just like, well, I mean, the executives are going to be like, well, how are people going to distinguish Grimlock from
Oh yeah, that.
like that Megatron? I'm just like, well, I mean, he's a purple dinosaur. Like,
Yeah.
just do that.
Yeah, but I think Megatron is better off as a tank or what he was in the first and fifth of Michael Bay's movies as a
Yeah,
Cybertronian
I
jet.
mean, like, some people really do want to have the flintlock pistol version of Megatron.
Yeah,
Where
that's
he's
his original form.
tiny. Yeah, and it's possible that you could do that, but in a creative way, like his head or brain or whatever. But it just
Yeah.
doesn't really work for Michael Bay's version, where he said that the mass of the character has to match what the transformer transforms into.
And that's why they had him come back
And
into.
as much crap like people like to give Michael Bay, I kind of agree with his logic
Yeah, me
about
too.
that. Like, do you agree?
Of course I do. I mean, he would be way too big to actually transform into something that small, like we saw in the cartoons back in the
Yeah.
80s.
I mean, it works in the cartoon because it's a cartoon. But the fact is that people need to realize, like, it doesn't work in live action. Like, something
Yeah.
like a freaking a Walther or whatever it is, transforming into an actual transformer that's gonna match Optimus Prime, who transforms into a freaking semi truck. It's gonna freaking look ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I mean, they sort of did something like that in the fourth film, where
Yeah, they wasted that.
the Transformers sort of transformed into a
Yeah, those
like
yeah, those
they
vehicles from KSI.
skeletalized or computerized into something else. I thought that was kind of stupid, but
Yeah, and it was kind of a waste for him to do instead of going with the Stunticons for that movie. I mean, Motormaster was supposed to transform into that color of a
I did
semi
see
truck.
that. I did see the concept art of Motor Master was supposed to be Galvatron.
Yeah, and they just threw it away, just like we've seen in other studios on other projects too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure, but it could. I mean, I don't know. Paramount, I really hope gets their shit together because
Yeah, they're in deep shit because of their main shareholder, Sherry Redstone, being so driven by ego and her lunacy as well.
well, I seriously thought that what was the movie? God, came out 2 years ago. It made a ton of money. Uh,
Oh, Maverick.
Top Gun, Top Gun, Top Gun.
Yeah, that was a incredible movie. I haven't even
Yeah,
seen it, but yeah,
I don't want to. I don't want to like overhype it, but I will say I try to watch the original Top Gun. Um,
yeah,
it was kind of a little bit too 80s for me, but I did like the second.
yeah,
Um, but the fact is that I think Paramount has a win potentially at the end of this year called Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Like,
yeah,
if they get Keanu Reeves, if it's true, like
yeah,
John Campea was the person that broke the news that Keanu Reeves was freaking
yeah,
um
yeah. That guy.
Shadow.
Yeah, that guy.
This movie
Yeah,
is
it better
going
be.
to be like the biggest of the season. Like, this movie's gonna crown at the box office. Like, I think this movie is going to do a lot of good for Paramount. And like, look, Paramount has made a lot of bad decisions and whatever, but the fact is that unlike a lot of people who really wish for the death of studios, I just hope they get humbled. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, it was great having you on, Frostfang, and I hope we can get more guests to come join us for next week or so on Star Wars and more on the following afterwards.
Yeah, just let me know. I mean, tonight was a little bit of like a, you know, the
A
stars
big
aligned
start.
type of night. So
Yeah, it was a big start for me too, and I was glad to have you come.
I hope. I mean, I really do try to cut my mouth off when other people talk because
It happens to everyone else too.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I like to say like I don't really talk a lot, but sometimes you just forget that you're on a panel of people, especially
yeah,
on a you know.
yeah. I had stage fright once when I was attending Zod Writer's live stream back in June when I almost entered their panel when they were doing a watch along for Beverly Hills Cop 2. But I backed out
Well,
and thank God.
I
Yeah, I
just
wasn't
want
even.
to ask, do you not want to talk about like acolyte cancellation? I mean, I don't know
We
how
can
often you do this type of stuff.
we can talk about it next week while we talk a lot on how Star Wars was made and how it
Okay.
inspired folks.
Yeah, no
You know,
problem. No problem. Okay.
we just need to find more guests to join us. And yeah, I mean, I was also trying to get in touch with Nighthawk and the Creed to join, but they must have been busy with other things tonight.
Okay, I think I might be able to. Levistra, right?
Yeah, yeah, I introduced myself to him since you brought Hypnotic
Yeah,
to come.
him. He is a co. He's a co. Person. Sorry. Not a co person. A co moderator. I know that he has a lot more responsibilities outside of his sphere. But I think he could be a good person to talk to.
Yeah,
I do know Sonia from God forbid, from Hypnotic. I think she'd be good. I mean, it depends on what type of day, what time of day, and whatever.
yeah,
Um, but I do know a couple people that could be good to join.
yeah, even Pet Brent too. Yeah, including others that we hang out in the chats as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about Kata because I think, well, you're bigger than Kata, actually. I
Yeah, and
mean,
yeah, and I sub
Kata is like 500, almost 600 now. God bless him. So,
yeah, I just started this channel. I'm on since 2012 after Avengers came out in theaters, and yeah, and so far it's got over 5,000.23K.
well, good
You
for
know,
you, dude.
yeah, it's more than hold my DualShock, but I do enjoy hanging out with them. Not only are they kind, but they're fun to hang out with, Frostfang. And I'm glad you came to me on your own behalf. And I didn't, I didn't have to ask you. You just, I mean, and I'm glad you enjoyed your time with them too.
Yeah, I mean, I really do not try to take over a panel or whatever. I really do try to just ask questions about like, hey, what do you think about this and such? But
Yeah, I've been going through those kinds of moments as well since I first joined them. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I really do hope that Hypnotic invites them. I mean, I'm a prominent mod for him. He doesn't really have a ton of mods right now, or active mods, but
yeah. Of course,
it
Katie and Andy and Peter are usually busy most of the day, but so far before I think they could be they can be reachable whenever they get back from work on their daily basis. I'm not familiar with their hours mostly, but I do know they start their shift on most of the days every morning from 8 to, well, in the morning I know they start, but I don't want to go too far
Yeah,
into it.
I understand. It's just
But
mostly I think hypnotic is not like hypnotic is a little bit secretive about who he's gonna invite. I mean, obviously, I imagine it's like a week to week basis a little bit
yeah,
sometimes. So, but anyways, I'm not gonna keep you anymore. But thank you so much for having me. It was actually pretty fun tonight.
thank you. I was glad you could come as well. Yeah, I'm hoping we can get Obi Dean and perhaps Modger and one of those guys who was hanging out at Raging Rhinos that just joined the DA stream to come and hang out with us too. Well,
Yeah.
I'm probably expecting at least two of the three I was mentioning to come and join us next week.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I
like,
hope we
let
do.
me know what the subjects are. I mean, I really wasn't familiar with John Wick tonight, so I'm sorry I couldn't really add a lot. So you know,
Well, not to worry. I'm sure when we do start doing our watch along on the 24th in October, we may plan on doing some for the sequels in the near future. Probably
so
starting,
I want to ask, what's the next for you? The subject matter.
well, next week I've got Star Wars in mind. Next week Tuesday.
Okay, I know a lot about Star Wars. Okay, I'm pretty
Yeah,
passionate about Star Wars.
yeah, and I've been passionate of that IP as well since I
Yeah,
got in.
good we know we're on the same page. I'm really passionate about Star Wars. I will definitely be able to contribute a lot more.
Yeah, and I hope I can get more people to join us as well. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I will need to try to keep myself up late to make sure we keep track of the DA streams. I don't want to be I don't want to go asking too much for others to join on streams such as HMDs or anyone else's that's affiliated with Ski Walker and Leon. You know, I don't want to be rude.
Well, I can help you out. I'll get some people,
Sure.
hopefully, to help get the like a larger group of people. Hopefully, not too
Yeah.
large. I mean, obviously, it gets to like
Yeah. The one
um,
I'm yeah,
too much.
the model I'm using right now only takes up to 6 people. I'd have to pay over
Yeah,
20 to 25.
I'll let Levistro and Sonia know, but I'll
Sure.
hopefully get some other people.
Do
Hopefully,
you have a are you able to join them on Discord? I could help get you to them.
get
Yes.
me to them. I'm with
Yeah.
them on Hypnotics chat.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll let them know, but at the same time, I will let them know about it and let them know about the stream. So.
Thank thank you,
I
Frostfang.
mean, like, I don't think Sonya knows a lot about Star Wars at all, but I think Levistra does. I mean, I think if
Yeah.
he's a little bit upset about the current state of Star Wars, as much as a lot of us do, but
Yeah.
I think he'll, give us some stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's yeah. Thank you again.
All right, have a good night, my friend.
Yes, same here. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. Well, folks, that's the end of our first panel night. Be sure to catch us for next week's panel because we'll be talking Star Wars, and I'm hoping we can get more guests to come aboard the panel to discuss everything there is to know about the brand and how great it was up until Disney's acquisition of the IP at Lucasfilms. Well, take care, guys. Giratina's Rising Renegades is taking off. Farewell.